The NBA draft boards say the Jazz are going to draft Kon Knueppel. Kevin Pelton and his ESPN draft numbers say they should. I'm not sure I agree. Next on Locked on Jazz.
You are Locked on Jazz, your daily podcast on the Utah Jazz. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network. Your team every day.
How are you? I'm David Locke, radio voice of the Utah Jazz, Jazz NBA insider. This is Locked on Jazz, your daily podcast on the Utah Jazz, giving you insight, expertise, geeky numbers, and hopefully making it way better to be a Jazz fan each and every day. Thank you so much for making Locked on Jazz your first listen of the day. On today's show, the focus, Kon Knueppel, the Milwaukee, Wisconsin Duke product, floating around the top 5 in the NBA draft. Ringer and Yahoo, Kevin O'Connor and the Ringer crew, some KJ Mann, Kyle Mann, some very good people on this. Believe this is who the Jazz should draft and will draft at 5. We'll look at it. Kevin Pelton always has been very good with his numbers. He's released who his numbers analyze, and he's gone back into these kids' AAU circuits and things of that sort. Plus, we'll look at Will Riley, Illinois, a little look at Philibon out of Alabama in our 21st pick look as well today here on Locked on Jazz. For those of you that are tuning in every day, you're an everydayer. I love you. Thank you so much for being there each and every day of the program. All right, let's start with Kevin Pelton. Kevin Pelton, over the years, has done draft projection models and had a lot of success. This goes all the way down to Rajon Rondo and other back over the years where he's done very, very well. In the last few years, he has taken it in which he's changed his system a little bit. He's included ESPN's top 100 prospect rankings to have an impact on it, giving it some credit, wisdom of crowds, and some of their high school numbers. Here's what his stat numbers have said over the last few years, if you kind of want to give it a look. Number one a few years ago was actually this is 2 years ago, was Cam Whitmore. Cason Wallace was number 3. Brandon Podziemski was number 2. So 1 was Cam Whitmore, 2 was Brandon Podziemski, 3 was Cason Wallace, 4 was Victor Wembanyama, 5 was Brandon Miller. Pretty good here, right? And that Brandon Podziemski was definitely earlier, but the numbers loved him. 6 was Dariq Whitehead, who hasn't panned out. 7 was Bryce Sensabaugh. He likes shooters. 8 in his top 10 was Taylor Hendricks. We'll see. 9 was Grady Dick, who had a pretty good year this year. And 10 was Derek Lively. So he really, on his top 10 guys in 2023, was pretty good. Keontae was 11th in that group. Scoot Henderson was 33rd. Anthony Black was 18th. Kind of just guys that were very highly regarded. Chris Murray, highly regarded, was 25 and didn't turn out. Kobe Buffkin, who I really liked, was 32. Kind of as much as anything, what I'd often say is when someone came out ugly, you probably be nervous. That should make you nervous. Okay, so that was 2023 for Kevin Pelton. Just trying to give you some reference points to this. Let's look at 2022. We can go back again, and just so you guys, Chet Holmgren was the number 1 stats player in that draft. Number 2 was Walker Kessler. Turned out to be a rotation NBA player. It's pretty good. 3 was AJ Griffin, who retired from the game. 4 was Keegan Murray, who's been pretty darn good along the way. These are just his stats numbers. Now, he adds in his top 100 and does other things and ranks them differently. Tari Eason was 5. That was much higher than people expected. He's turned out to be a pretty darn good player. Guys that were expected to be some other names, just kind of give you perspective. Jabari Smith was 7. I think that's the next one I was on. And then he, using their top 100 ranks them a little different. Dyson Daniels was number 6 that year. Just turned out to be close to Defensive Player of the Year. As I mentioned, Walker Kessler was 7. Jeremy Shohan was 8. Benedict Matherin was 9. So this has worked pretty well. Now Paulo Banchero was 35 that year, has turned out to be fine, though not particularly efficient. Christian Brown was 14, was generally 30th on the board, so he kind of had who he was. Mark Williams was thought as 32 on his board, where 14 otherwise. Johnny Davis, who was thought of as a top 10 prospect, was 48 on his board, can't play at all, or hasn't been able to play yet at all. Probably be a better way to say that. So interesting, just kind of get the concept. Let's look back at last year. Last year, one other just reference point, trying to, for those you don't, chart Kevin Pelton every year, have an understanding of one kind of, there is some consistency to what his system likes. And then also, I think to that point, there's also just understanding who might be good or who might be bad. Last year, Reed Shepard was 1. Donovan Clingan was 2. Zach Edey was 3. Number 4 was Johnny Fruppy, who played at Kansas. So that was kind of their surprise player. He's got one this year too. Alexander Sarr was 5. Jacoby Walters, 6. Zachary Chachet was 55 on his stats. Turned out to be all right. Jared McCain was 9th, though. Turned out to be very good. Keyshawn George, we don't know yet. Stephen Castle was only 25th. Rob Dillingham was only 23rd. Devin Carter was only 21st. Tejan Salon was 34th. So hard to tell yet. We'll see. Kyle Filipowski was 14th. He was 21 on most boards. Turned out to probably be right on that. Ryan Dunn was 12th, 28th on most boards. Turned out to be right. Ron Holland was 11th, top 10 pick. Was 35th on his numbers board. May have been right on that. Jalen Wells, Washington State, all-rookie team, as the Jazz got snubbed on the all-rookie team yesterday, was 45th on the top 100, was 11th on Pelton's board. So, a lot of success there. Not perfect, but a lot of success. Here's what Pelton's got this year. His number 1 player is Cooper Flagg. His number 2 stats player is Kon Knueppel. He does this a lot, EYBL, AAU competition. In 22-23, he was very good. He had a high usage rate. He was incredibly efficient. Number 3 on his draft board is Isaiah Evans, a shooting guard out of Duke, who played 14 minutes a night. That's the surprise name this year. Number 4 is VJ Edgecombe. So Edgecombe, Knueppel jumped to the top here on Pelton's number system. Number 5 on this board is Miles Bird, shooting guard out of San Diego State, top 50 player. He's about 50th, well out of the first round. And he's 5th on his numbers board. Again, you can just decide you immediately dismiss it, or you can see that and say to yourself, continue on the numbers board. After Bird at 5, 6 is Boogie Fland, who I think just transferred from Arkansas to Florida, is not coming out. Here are some of the names that we are kind of getting. This is actually interesting because his board is as wild as I've seen it. Of the players we've talked about, number 7 is Dylan Harper. Here's the players we've talked about. Kon Knueppel comes in at 2. VJ Edgecombe comes in at 4. Edgecombe's offensive efficiency was middling, he says. Edgecombe projects at least 15% better than the typical NBA-bound college shooting guard in terms of rebound, block, and steal rate. Defensive potential should give Edgecombe a high floor, while his development as a shooter will define his upside. Dylan Harper, 7, I mentioned. Jeremiah Fears comes in at 20. His offensive usage rate was the highest of any major freshman. Ability to score efficiently was impressive. Still, in order to justify a similar role in the NBA, must improve his 28% shooting. One encouraging sign, Fears 85% free throw shooting. So Fears was 20. Ace Bailey is 27 on Pelton's numbers. Bailey's lack of shot making, non-paint twos, things of that nature. Igor Denman is 19th. Trey Johnson, who we've talked about a lot, is 30th on his numbers board. Johnson's volume scoring is the kind of skill that tends not to fare well in my projections, writes Pelton. Usage is his only strength. He's well below average in rebounds, steals, and blocks. The swing skill is just how efficient Johnson can be as a scorer. He fared acceptably at college level, 40% three-point shooting, but his EYBL numbers were at 34%. So he's not buying. So of the guys we've talked about, Kon Knueppel is number 2 on the board. VJ Edgecombe is number 4 on the board. Jeremiah Fears is 20. Ace Bailey is 27. Trey Johnson is 30th on Pelton's number boards. Kevin Pelton thinks the same thing the Yahoo does and the Ringer does, that we should be taking Kon Knueppel, the 6'5" shooter out of Duke. We'll talk about it. I'll break him down next on Locked On Jazz. Today's edition of Locked On Jazz is brought to you by Intercap Lending. Steve Carter is our own personal loan officer at Intercap, and that's what gives you such the incredible experience. What we are so excited about in this relationship, which is about 7 years old now with Intercap, is that we have Steve. So we know, as I tell you to go use Intercap Lending for your next loan or whatever it might be, I know exactly what experience you're going to get, because Steve is the most responsive, attentive, helps you with all the paperwork, gets it all done. And Intercap Lending is a mortgage company that's been shaking things up by making home loans more accessible, straightforward, and personal, whether you're buying your first home, refinancing. Intercap is their guide for you. If you're a veteran exploring options, they make the extra effort to help you with VA loans for great terms for veterans, and also FHA loans for first-timers. It's all at Intercap Lending. Most importantly, though, we have Steve Carter for you. He is your own personal loan officer. He gives you that personal experience, and he blows you out of the water with that experience. So email me at dlock09@gmail.com. That's dlock09@gmail.com so that we can get you your own personal loan experience with Intercap Lending. Intercap Lending. Steve Carter's our own personal loan officer. You can call him directly if you don't want me involved at 385-800-8528. That's 385-800-8528. Steve Carter, Intercap Lending, your own personal loan officer, for being a Locked On every day. You know what happened to me yesterday? Ripped through an old pair of underwear. Yeah, you didn't think you were going to learn that about me today, but what did I do? I went to Skims for Men. That's right, because Skims did send me the first pairs for free, but now it's time for me to buy them myself because they're that good. That's right. When Skims for Men are now available, you may have heard of Skims from your wife or your girlfriend or others around there and all the hype around it. Well, they now make underwear that have great fit, comfort, and the right style. Skims for Men. Boxer briefs was the call for me on this, for these, to replacing the ones that just broke for me or ripped or wore out or whatever I wore to the end of it. However, maybe I'm just getting fat. Who knows? Whatever it might be. That's what it was. But it was time for me to get my answer. And that's where I went for with my skin. You can do the bundle packs available for you as well. All of it at Skims with the various different models for you, the 5-inch or the 3-inch boxer brief pack. Or you can go get the knit boxer. It's a little looser fit than the boxer brief for you. Check it all out. They also have the men's trunk version, which is more for workouts. Doesn't have the fly. This is probably more detailed than you want to know. They also have just the straight briefs. It's all there at Skims for Men. And I can actually tell you that that's exactly what I did the other day or yesterday when it was time, is I went right for it. And because of the fact that I got exposed by Skims telling us about what this was, now I know. When you buy your Skims for Men, go to skims.com/LockedOnNBA. That's skims.com/LockedOnNBA. And when you, after you finish your purchase, they'll ask you where you heard about it. Please say you heard it from Locked On Jazz or Locked On. That's skims.com/LockedOnNBA. So I watched a lot of Kon Knueppel. I watched the Arizona game early in the year. I watched the Alabama game late in the year, and I watched the Illinois game kind of mid-late game. First thing is, I think you have to understand who he is. He's 6'5" with a 6'6" wingspan, which is not great. 8'5" standing inch. He's 219 pounds. So the players that his measurements comp to out of the draft are Dylan Brooks, Jared Dudley, and Joe Harris. Joe Harris might just be a great comp. So I think you have to understand how big he is. He's really big. He's really thick downstairs. I don't know if this is good or bad. I think you just have to understand this is not some like long, lanky shooting kid. This is a full powerhouse, physical body. There are two questions. I mean, this kid comes from, his mom was Wisconsin Green Bay Hall of Famer. He's the oldest of 5, which actually worries me a little bit. I like younger kids, not firstborns. He was a legend in Wisconsin. He averaged like 26 points a game. His team never lost a game. His EYBL stuff is crazy. He averaged 23 points a game. He shot 48% from behind 3. And when he went to Duke, he assimilated into a really good team with 3 players who are going to be drafted in the top 10, plus Proctor, plus other guys like that, right? It's a great team. He averaged 21 a game in the ACC tournament. The first thing that's most noticeable watching him is how much better he got as the year went on. In the Arizona game, they top blocked him. He could not get free. And then in the Illinois game, and then by the time you get to the Alabama game, he's really pretty great in the Alabama game. Like, pretty great. So his shooting is, we've done the numbers. If you haven't heard it already, if you weren't with us on those shows, he's unquestionably the best shooter in the draft. He's a little old. He's 19.7, so he's 19 and 10 months after finishing freshman year. In transition, he only had 21 opportunities, but in the 91st percentile. In isolation, he had 12 chances all year. He was in the 27th percentile. So nothing impressive. And I saw no isolation game of anything. His pick and roll game, he had 76 pick and rolls. He began to have something with Malowich, but he was also just in the 31st percentile. This is going to be a big question. His shooting is deadly. He's by far the best shooter in the draft. He was in the 98th percentile of shooters. He was in the 92nd percentile in catch and shoot shooters. His off the bounce shooting was not very good. It was in the 33rd percentile. So let's go over the years and take a look at guys that shot at this level, okay? Just so we kind of understand, is it a guarantee if you're this elite a shooter in our database of players that you automatically end up playing in the NBA and are successful? Because frankly, if we're drafting this kid 5, he better be that. Here are the players that have been in the 99th percentile in catch and shoot and 99th percentile in spot up. Reed Shepard last year was in the 100th. Tyrese Halliburton, Sadiq Bey, Ty Jerome, Obi Toppin on not as many attempts. Jordan Hawkins, Jalen Williams, Santa Clara, Marcus Sasser, Rob Dillingham, Cameron Johnson, Julian Strother, Aaron Naismith, Kobe White, Corey Kispert, Dylan Windler. That's the first one of this group that's like not in the NBA really today. Chris Duarte was 25 at the time. Jabari Smith was 94th. Dalton Connect, 94th. Peyton Pritchard, 93rd. Rui Hashimura, 93rd. So you're in the Trey Murphy, the third, who I actually think is a great comp for Knueppel, is in the 91st. Jordan Poole in the 91st. Desmond Bain in the 90th. And so you're in the 90th percentage in shot percentile. You play in the league like that. These guys all have played in the league. That single skill of Kon Knueppels to be in the 99th percentile in spot up shooting says he plays in the league. There are two questions to then discuss what level he plays in the league. One is he's on this team with Duke and he's just playing off the ball. He's playing in the corner, coming off pin downs, getting himself free. Everyone else in the world handles the ball on that team. And his EYBL numbers, he's the primary ball handler at the top of the floor. And I don't know enough about EYBL and watching high school film. If you believe that that can translate and that he can run the pick and roll from the top and play that way, he's a 6'6" point guard now, or 6'5" point guard who's big and strong. That's a very different observation. That's Austin Reeves, probably 20 points a game. If not, his upside is he's Trey Murphy III, and Trey Murphy III started to play with the ball a little bit this year, was pretty good. Both those guys are 20-point-a-game scorers. Those are the two comps of guys that are 20-point-a-game scorers that might be kind of like him. So that's the first question you have to ask about Knueppel, is can he actually play with the ball in his hands? And it's hard to tell from Duke. He plays everything around the basket off 2 feet. And in college, it worked. He drives, he sets both feet, he pump fakes you, he moves you, and he gets the shot off. I'm not convinced that's going to work in college, in pros. Now, he has such deft touch, and he has such, great shooting that probably turns into a 5 or 6 foot floater instead. But I don't think he had a lot of success in college around the basket. There's no verticality here. It's 2 feet, pump fake you, move you, get the shot off. I just think the length and athleticism in the NBA takes that away much faster and everything. His pick and roll stuff that was good was where they brought him off a pin down low and he circled in low off Malowich, and then they played like a little tiny pick and roll game. It was not from the top. Defensively, I did 3 comments. One, I didn't see him just get spotlighted and cleared out like teams will try to do him in the NBA. I mean, Corey Kispert kind of goes down as like the worst defender in the NBA on that list. They might be pretty similar comps. Cameron Johnson's not thought of as a great defensive player. Might be a pretty similar comp. So I think that, but I didn't see him get isolated. Now, hard to tell. He had such good defensive players around him with Malowich and Flagg and others that maybe they just covered him up. I did see him get shook in each game I watched. At some point in each game, Arizona game, Alabama game, Phillip Unn got him in the Alabama game. Illinois game, he got shook at some point or just blatantly beat at some point in every game. Not, so most guys. His screen navigation seemed poor. It seemed like that big body that we're talking about had a hard time avoiding screens. He'd get hit and get dislodged, and guys would get free. So I do think defense is going to be a little bit of a struggle, but I also think it's a struggle for every single one of these guys. I did not see a burst. There's not, like, watching Trey Johnson, watching VJ Edgecombe, watching Ace Bailey, watching Jeremiah Fears, other players we've talked about, they have a burst. They don't have a shot like this. His footwork is impeccable on the shot. He is ready, and it's there for him every single time. Against Arizona early in the year, he just couldn't get free. They were top blocking him or on his top side. He could not get free. He was also in his first road game, and he was just much younger. He was so much better by the end of the year. He does the right things defensively, like he'll jump top side of the screen early. He'll anticipate correctly. He'll do those. But I did see him get just manhandled down low for a guy that's kind of 219 pounds. The 219 pounds worries me a little bit that he's really stuck to the ground. I will be honest with you on that. I feel like this is a league that, now it's also, we talk about, Will Hardy talks about that it's a ball skills league, a hands league, a touch league. This kid would do that. He does make 2 or 3 ridiculous hustle plays in every game you watch. So his motor is real. His fight is there. He's much more physical than you think he is. When he's making his hustle plays, his strength comes in where he's able to he gets his own space. He's going to play in the league. Like the numbers I just ran down for you. Every guy that we have in our database, and I haven't extended the database out, but here are the guys again that are 100% have taken at least 100 shots and he's in the 99%. Reed Shepard, Tyrese Halliburton, Sadiq Bey, Ty Jerome ended up making it after a little while. Obi Toppin only took 53. Jordan Hawkins, 114. That's a little concerning. Jalen Williams, 72 of them. Marcus Sasser, Rob Dillingham, Cameron Johnson, Julian Strother, Aaron Neesmith, Kobe White, Corey Kispert, Dylan Windler did not. Chris Duarte did not. They're at the 94th percentile. Jabari Smith, Dalton Connect, Peyton Pritchard, Rui Hashimura. And then the guys that are 90-90, you can take Obi Toppin off that list. You can actually take Corey Kispert off that list. He was 81. So that's a unique skill. And the 98-92 combination. But the lack of jumper off the dribble, it's a little like you play the pick and roll game. Like you would think he can learn that. But so those are the 3. Those are questions. Can he play with the ball in his hands more than he does right now? I do not think he'll be able to finish around the basket in the same way. It will be noticeably tougher for him because he's a ground-bound athlete than if he was a high flyer. I don't have the guts to do it at 5. I don't have the guts to make those 3 projections to do it at 5, even though the numbers say it. But I do have a guy I really like at 21, and that's next on Locked on Jazz. Today's show is brought to you in part by Car Gurus. Shopping for a car can be exciting, and should be at least. And it also, frankly, sometimes gets exhausting. So let's make sure it's exciting. Because between the confusing prices and hidden fees, it can be overwhelming, and that's why Car Gurus exist for you. They help you cut through the noise and show you the best deals with full confidence. With over 4 million listings, Car Gurus has more new and used cars than any major online marketplace in the U.S. They verify dealers, provide real price analysis, give you the tools and data you need to make the right choice without second-guessing yourself. Need a deal you can trust? Car Gurus makes it easy to compare vehicles side by side with unbiased deal ratings. And the best feature, price drop alerts. It's no wonder why similar web estimated traffic data shows Car Gurus is the #1 most visited car shopping site. Buy or sell your next car today with Car Gurus at CarGurus.com. Go to CarGurus.com to make sure your big deal is the best deal. That's CarGurus.com. CarGurus.com. Thanks so much for making Locked on Jazz your first listen of the day. 21st pick of the draft. According to Yahoo, according to Bleacher Report, the Jazz will select Will Riley out of Illinois. Who is Will Riley out of Illinois? He's Canadian born. He grew up in Ontario. His dad was a former track athlete and well-known track coach. His mother played hockey, of course. Both parents are Canadian nationals. He moved to Pennsylvania for high school, was initially a member of the 2025 high school class and reclassified to 2024. So he's young. He averaged 13 points, 4 rebounds, 2 assists, shot 43%, 33% from field, but he did shoot 84% from the free throw line. He was the 6th man of the year in the Big Ten. He had 1 or 2 monster games early and then closed the year on a little bit of a tear. In his final 15 games, he averaged 16 points a game. He measured out at 6'8", 186 pounds, which is up 14 from a year ago. His standing wingspan is only 6'8 3/4, so that's not great that he's not a big plus on the wings. His numbers in our system for Will Riley were interesting. He was only in the 35th percentile, which is really low in transition. He was in the 90th percentile in isolation, which shows up when you watch him. He has a dribble game. He has a crossover game. He pulls up for a jumper. It was pretty eye-catching as a freshman out there coming off the bench for Illinois. He ran 110, or he had 110 spot ups, excuse me. He was only in the 48th percentile, 49th, so he's average. Nothing negative. Same thing with his catch and shoot. His pick and roll game, he ran 115 pick and rolls, which is a lot, particularly for a rookie or a freshman. And he was in the 52nd percentile. Like VJ Edgecombe ran 109, was in the 43rd percentile. Trey Johnson ran 125, same amount, was in the 80th percentile. So I think that's an interesting number. His off-the-bounce dribble number, it puts him in the 46th percentile. He took 100. Here's the comparison. Cooper Flagg, 59th. Ace Bailey, 37th percentile. VJ Edgecombe, 21st. Jeremiah Fears, 37th. Jakovic's 63rd, better. But on that same team, Will Riley took 100 of them. He's in the 46th percentile. Igor Denman was in the 28th percentile. Jace Richardson was in the 75th. Trey Johnson, 75th. Those guys are all better. But guys around the 46th percentile, there's a lot of guys there. Those numbers excite me. When I watch him, I see it all. It's all in there. He's coming off the bench. He's got an isolation game. He tries defensively. He's got a little bit of a handle. I thought he got caught standing a lot defensively and ended up trailing a lot on curls and that. But if the Jazz can get Will Riley at 21, that's a pretty intriguing prospect to me. I didn't think there was a chance that they would get him, but his combine measurements weren't great. And so I do think that the whole idea that he has no wingspan and things of that nature, when he came in at 6'8" 1/4, was 6'8" 3/4 wingspan. His no-step vertical was 27. His max vertical was 32. He just didn't peak out there. He did grow an inch and had 14 pounds since last year's Hoop Summit. I don't think he holds at 21. I don't think he gets there, but I'd be pretty intrigued if he does. All right, more watching of Trey Johnson for tomorrow's show on Locked On Jazz. Thanks very much for tuning in. We now send to the first ever 24/7 national NBA channel, Locked On NBA. Check out Locked On NBA every day with Doug Branson, Matt Moore, and Hayes on Locked On NBA.